Clic. Mao. Ça tue, ça blesse, ça flingue. Hey, hey, hey. Mao.
Good Thursday morning. It's time for Coffee with Nick out of a real coffee mug. We're moving up in the world. Alright, guys. We're going to jump right in. I've actually, just a fun fact, I have one of the coolest sponsors ever. My sponsor is having me work out of the Life Recovery Workbook because I'm very Bible oriented. A lot of my studies come out of the Bible. And so, shout out to him. Can't break anonymity. You know who you are. And I appreciate you for putting this extra work in just for little old me. It really shows how much you want me to succeed. And I appreciate it. But, with that being said, let's pop our prayer and then see what we got. God, present the knowledge that you wish for me to seek, and give me the open mind and heart to accept it. Amen. All right, y'all. Page 91, first paragraph. Let's do it. Usually, the family should not try to tell your story. When possible, avoid meeting a man through his family. Approach through a doctor or an institution is a better bet. H&I, which is hospitals and institutions for those that don't know. If your man needs hospitalization, he should have it, but not forcibly unless he is violent. Let the doctor, if he will, tell him he has something in the way of a solution. When your man is better, the doctor might suggest a visit from you. Though you have talked with the family, leave them out with the first discussion. Under these conditions, your prospect will see he is under no pressure. He will feel he can deal with you without being nagged by his family. Call on him while he is still jittery. He may be more receptive when depressed. Whew, the jitters and depression. See your man alone if possible. At first, engage in general conversation. After a while, turn the talk to some phase of drinking. Tell him enough about your drinking habits, symptoms, and experiences to encourage him to speak of himself. When you share your experience, strength, and hope, it gets them to open up. If he wishes to talk, let him do so. You will thus get a better idea of how you ought to proceed. If he is not communicative, give him a sketch of your drinking career up to the time you quit, but say nothing, for the moment, of how that was accomplished. If he is in a serious mood, dwell on the troubles liquor has caused you, being careful not to moralize or lecture. If his mood is light, tell him humorous stories of your escapades. Get him to tell some of his. My name is Nick, and I'm an addict. I really like that reading a lot. Cheers. I like that reading a lot. It really dives down into how to approach a alcoholic or addict, such as myself. 5.5 years ago, one of my best friends, Brady, 12-stepped me without me even knowing. We had a wild and crazy night. It was the night that he, quote unquote, hung up his stimulant jacket. He checked into treatment the very next day, and just disappeared for a month. Never heard from him. I checked on him, never got an answer. I thought he was just, upset over something that happened, or, was just feeling like shit like I was, because it was about a 3-day come off. It was about 3 days until I was even able to go back to work, recover, anything. We had a very, very fun and long night. I'm not going to go into details to save the war story, but we did more than we'd ever done drug-wise together. We drank more than we had ever drank together, and we consumed more than any two humans probably should have consumed. And I remember the day that he got out, he posted on Facebook, and I called him immediately. I was like, dude, what the fuck happened? He's like, oh, I went to treatment. And I was like, oh, that bad, huh? He's like, yeah, I think it was just time that I got sober. And so he worked on me for a couple of weeks, actually. He'd check in, make sure I'm doing good. He looked fantastic. Like, he was getting bulked up. He was getting his weight back on. He's going back to what he used to be. He got, involved in combat sports. His life seemed to be getting better while mine was diminishing. My marriage was falling apart. My relationship with my kid was in shambles. My mother-in-law and I were just going at it daily over stupid shit. That's another story for another time. I did not approach that situation correctly, trying to help. And that's not my business to tell. So he 12-stepped me. He finally got me into the halls of Cocaine Anonymous. I loved coke. That was my DOC at the time, before I ever went back to meth. I was a raging cokehead, and, I've got a tattoo right here. My nickname used to be 8 Ball. Always had an 8 Ball on me. Or was known as Coke Nick, because there were several Nicks in our friend group. I was known as Coke Nick. You know how much coke you have to do to be known as Coke Nick? It's pretty disgusting. But he approached me and he told me, we'd sit and we'd chop it up. We'd have a good time remembering the old days. And then one day it was, dude, I think you need to come in here. And I was like, bruh, I'm not an addict. Yes, I was. There were a couple times he invited me, and I'd be like, is it cool if I go in stoned? Like, I'm not doing coke, I'm smoking weed though, because, weed's not a drug. Weed is definitely a drug. And, he just, now that I see and have been in the halls and in the rooms for so long, I wish he would have just took my high ass, because I've taken in people that are just off their rockers, like cracked the fuck out, and got them in there, because that's what it's about, is getting them in. If you can get them in the halls, hook, line, and sinker most of the time. But yeah, so he approached it textbook. He approached it textbook, and I could really take a page out of his lesson. Nope. I could really definitely approach it the way he did. I mean, he worked me out. He was like, dude, just suggestion, come on in sometime. It's free coffee. I know you love coffee. I love coffee. He said, they make some of the strongest coffee in town. Boy, was he not lying. When I finally went in there and I sat down, I was like, is there coke in this coffee? And lo and behold, here I am, 5.5, 6 years later, still in these halls, still trying, still not giving up. I've had more relapses than I can count. If I take my socks off, I can get to 20. But other than that, I'm grateful to see and read where he got his approach from. Sit down and talk with an addict, Here's the cool thing. While I'm telling you this, I'm going to look for something. In this book, there is a chapter called How It Works. And in this chapter, I wanted to give you guys step 12. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics, addicts, and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Carry the message to the addict that still suffers. That is our primary purpose, to carry the message to the addict that still suffers. Mr. Brady, you did exactly that. And I am forever grateful because you saved my life. You know, I don't know where I would be without the Halls. Probably dead or in jail. I mean, I've still gone to jail. I've still gotten arrested a couple of times, even being sober. But, you know, those are the consequences for my actions. Just because you don't do drugs doesn't mean you're living in recovery. It just means you're living in sobriety. Now, this time around, I'm truly living in recovery, and I absolutely love it. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. If you have the desire, you are welcome. Even if you don't have the desire and you're court ordered, you're welcome. Come on in. Have some freaking crack coffee. Listen to a couple of people speak, and you might see that there is a new way of life without drugs and alcohol. Yeah, that's about all I got, guys. Huge shout out to Mr. Brady. Saved my life. Thank you, brother, and I love you, and you know who you are. I know you watch these occasionally. I hope you get to see this one. Yeah, if you guys know somebody struggling, reach out. Don't be forceful, suggestive. Addicts take suggestions way better. Hit it in their time of depression, because we all know what those come down moments are like. Like, God, I can't do this anymore, please. How many of you have said this prayer? God, I promise I will never do this again if you just get me through this. Said that a handful of times, to say the least. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your Thursday, and also have a blessed week, blessed rest of the week, and blessed weekend. I will be back to my Sunday series, so get ready for that. If you are into the Bible and you like spiritual stuff, I do an entire Sunday episode on it. But other than that, if nobody's told you guys, you're beautiful, and I absolutely love you, and I couldn't do this without you. Have a great rest of your Friday. Did I say Friday? Have a great rest of your Thursday.